What's going on, guys? Victor here with a brand new video, and I'm going to make this a quick video as fast as possible before I gotta leave my house. But I'm going to be talking about a potential UFC lightweight fight that could be happening in the very near future. I'm going to be talking about the number 11th ranked Islam Makhachev, the cousin of Khabib Nurmagomedov, 19-1, versus the number 8 ranked Dan Hooker, who is 20-10, fighting out of Auckland, New Zealand City Kickboxing. Islam Makhachev just happens to be fighting out of AKA in California. Obviously, two very well-known gyms from around the world. Obviously, one in the West, one on the East Coast. And obviously, this would be a great matchup, especially from Islam Makhachev. If he is the next heir to Khabib's throne, then he's definitely going to want to fight someone who is ranked lower than him. And that individual is obviously Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker is ranked number 8. Islam Makhachev, number 11. The ranking is just 3 rankings apart, if you do the math right there. And Islam Makhachev has all the talent in the world. He has all of the weapons in the world in order to beat Dan Hooker. If we all know, Dan Hooker is a very special individual. Dan Hooker is tall and lanky. Islam Makhachev, not so much. But Islam Makhachev definitely packs a lot of power. He definitely packs a lot of muscle. And he packs a lot of pressure at the same time. If you saw his last fight against Drew Dober, he made him tap due to shoulder pressure. That's absolutely insane. He had him mounted, he had a lot of pressure on him, and Drew Dober was basically suffocated to the point where he needed the tap. Islam never had him in the submission attempt, and he never had him in any bad situations whatsoever, except for when he was on top of him, mounted, and he had Drew Dober in that position throughout the whole entire fight. It was never close. And he had put so much pressure on him that he had to tap out. And obviously, that just tells you that Islam Makhachev has all the makings to become a future champion. Dan Hooker, obviously, he's lost 2 in a row. And he's trying to get back in that UFC top 5 of the rankings as fast as possible. He obviously lost to Dustin Poirier. Then he lost to Michael Chandler. That bumped him back a couple of... They bumped him down, basically, or bumped him up, in other case, the rankings basically, or down the... I'm going to say it bumped him down the rankings from the number... I believe he was ranked number 5, and now he's ranked number 8. So obviously, Dan Hooker is going to want to get another win as fast as possible. And why not face the cousin of Khabib? Why not face Dagestan's biggest hope of winning another championship? And there's one thing about Islam Makhachev is that he's not a guy to be playful with. He's the man to be feared with. And Islam, he's faced a good amount of guys before in the past, but if he were to face Dan Hooker, that would be his biggest fight up to date. He needs to face someone in the top 10 that can be able to propel him into that top 6, that top 7 of the rankings, to fight someone that's inside the top 5 in order to get himself a shot for the UFC Lightweight Championship of the World. Obviously, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler has been confirmed for May of 2021 for the vacant UFC Lightweight Championship of the World. Islam believes that he wants to be the one to fight for that title. Islam believes that he is going to be the champion in the very near future with Khabib as his coach. Obviously, Khabib Nurmagomedov's father, who used to be the coach of Eagle MMA in Dagestan, passed away in 2020, and Khabib has now taken the reins of his father to become that new head coach, to become that new mentor of all of the Dagestani fighters in Russia. And he wants to fulfill his father's dream of having more champions come out of Dagestan and represent the region, represent the whole entire country of Russia, and become the best in the whole entire world. And Islam Makhachev is that individual. And I believe with everything that we saw him against Drew Dober, everything that he was able to display for us, then he can be able to put Dan Hooker down on the ground and submit him pretty fast, just because Dan Hooker did have a lot of issues against Dustin Poirier on the ground, especially when he did get tired. And if there's one thing about Islam Makhachev, it's that he doesn't get tired. He trains in high elevation in the mountains in Dagestan, so all those fighters are used to high elevation. They're also used to not fatiguing in their fights. Also, Dan Hooker is very well-rounded on the feet. He belongs to City Kickboxing. Eugene Berriman is one of the best coaches in the whole entire world, and he trains with very high-class individuals. Alexander Volkanovski, champion. Israel Adesanya, champion. Brad Riddell, who is a UFC lightweight prospect at this moment. So, like I said, this would be an amazing matchup if it were to happen. And obviously, Dan Hooker has the advantage on the feet. Islam Makhachev has the advantage on the ground. This is a classic grappler versus striker matchup, and I would love to see how things will go. I can't say who would win right now just because this fight hasn't been made and it's a potential fight in the making. But if I were to say who were to come in here as the big odds-on favorite, that's obviously going to be Islam Makhachev just because he's been on fire lately. He's only lost once within the UFC, and that was by a KO loss a couple years back. But let's be real here. Islam, he's been with the UFC for a while. He's been in the UFC longer than Dan Hooker, I believe. And Dan Hooker, he's still trying to put Auckland, New Zealand on his back, the whole entire country of New Zealand on his back, the whole entire Oceania region on his back. And he wants to make history as the firstborn, actually no, as the second New Zealand born fighter out of his country. Basically the first New Zealand born fighter fighting out of his country, because Robert Whittaker was born in New Zealand. He was the first New Zealand born UFC champion in the history of the promotion. But like I said right now, Dan Hooker wants to be the first New Zealand born UFC champion fighting out of his country, because Robert Whittaker was born in New Zealand, but he moved to Australia and he represents Australia, barely really represents New Zealand whatsoever. So obviously Dan Hooker wants to make that history. He wants to make his whole country proud, as much as Islam Makhachev wants to make the whole entire country of Russia, especially the region of Dagestan, proud at the same time. And this will be the fight for Islam Makhachev to take. If he beats the number 8 guy, propels him into that top 10, and then eventually he fights someone in the top 6, propels him closer to a title shot after he fights a guy in the top 4. So obviously a lot of upside for both these fighters. Someone wants to get this win. Someone needs another one in order to get themselves into that top 4 of the UFC lightweight division. There's a lot of movement going on in this division. There is a lot of, how do you say it? There's a lot of fights that have already been made. Everybody's already booked. Like I said, if Islam Makhachev and Dan Hooker does not go down as a fight, there's also Justin Gaethje. But we all know Justin Gaethje doesn't have the highest fight IQ out there. But he's smart enough to know that taking a fight as a number 2 ranked lightweight in the world against the number 11th light ranked fighter in the world is not the smartest fight out there, especially since Justin Gaethje's is just, like I said, his BJJ is non-existent. He doesn't like to wrestle, and when he's wrestling, he's usually in bad positions, just like he was with Khabib. And if Islam Makhachev has the talents that Khabib has, then Islam can be able to dump Justin Gaethje on his head, mount him, and submit him just as fast as Khabib did. So obviously not the smart move for Justin Gaethje, who is itching to fight as of right now, and he wasn't able to get that title fight against Michael Chandler, and he's really mad. He wants to fight someone, but Islam Makhachev is not that guy. So obviously Islam Makhachev versus Dan Hooker, UFC, that is the fight to make, and that is the fight to make for a UFC Fight Night headliner. You got to make it a 5-round fight. You got to test Islam Makhachev if he's your top prospect of the lightweight division, and let's see who comes out on top. Appreciate you guys for watching this video. I hope the UFC can be able to make that fight happen, and I hope that all of us can be able to watch it as an MMA community together and see who wins. Appreciate you guys for watching this video. Stay safe, stay blessed. Later, guys.